Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. Today, I'm going to be reacting to one of the oldest zombies theories on my channel. I uploaded this on the 2nd of December, 2012. So Black Ops 2 and Transit had only just come out. And I mean, the first thing that we need to look at, man, is the thumbnail. Oh, what is this? What is this? It's honestly incredible seeing how much my content has transformed over the years in every regard, from titles to descriptions to thumbnails to the videos themselves. It's all new. I mean, in the tags of this video from 2012, I still had the YouTube quality equals high thing that you needed to do if you wanted your video to play in HD when someone clicked on it. The thumb is atrocious. Thankfully, I've learned a lot since 2012. I'm hoping that the video isn't too bad, because otherwise this is going to be very embarrassing. I've got it downloaded here, ready to go. Oh god, the first frame has a watermark the size of half the screen. I remember my old clanmate, who I think was called Adam, made this for me way back in the day. He must have made this in like 2010 or 2011. I mean, yeah, that's where that watermark came from. I used that, I'm pretty sure, throughout Black Ops 2. It was probably a little bit too big in this video. Hey, I didn't want anyone to steal the theory, I guess. All right, let's see how the video goes. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Boom.
Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here.
Oh no, there it is. Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. I mean, maybe I sound the same now. Maybe I haven't changed at all, but I certainly think that I don't sound quite as terrible. Let's run it back.
Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here.
The problem was, I sounded like I had a blocked nose all the time back then. All of the time. I sound like I'm talking like this, and I'm like, hi guys, MrRoflWaffles. Maybe part of that is just my microphone that I had at the time. This might have been recorded talking into a phone. Actually, no. I had like a really crappy USB microphone that I borrowed from my dad, and I think that would have been what I was using at the time here. I don't think at this point I had my Rode mic, which might be on the shelf behind me, actually. This is what I eventually upgraded to when I had enough money at last. It took me so long to save up to buy a proper mic. I wouldn't recommend this if you're a YouTuber. I would recommend one of these. Shure SM7B is really good. The Rode NT2A, which I had at the time, and I was using it with this Scarlett, which is fine. This is great. This is the 2i4. I use a 2i2 now, I think, or a Solo. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend this necessarily. It wasn't the best mic for YouTube, but still a great mic. Anyway, let's keep it rolling and see where this theory goes, shall we?
Today, bringing you a video about the date which I would predict Green Run to be set in.
Oh, okay. This is something we could actually fact check then. That's perfect. Oh god, I'm gonna be so wrong. Wait, okay, let me make a prediction about what my past prediction was gonna be, because I know the real answer now. But what would I have been thinking at the time? I mean, I guess we're about to find out. 2020. Maybe? Or maybe not. Maybe it's gonna be like, oh, I think it's like 1970. I mean, we'll see.
Obviously, we've got the transit game mode set on the map Green Run, and we've been picking up various pieces of information along the way there.
That is true. There have been various pieces of info. That's MrRoflWaffles coming in hot with that story knowledge.
Been little bits and bobs, but this map is not rich in info. There's a lot to speculate on. Things like why Nashta and Toten's there.
Yep.
Things like all these references to the forest, things like Jackass Flats.
Okay, Jackass Flats definitely, at the time, was something that seemed like it was gonna really go somewhere and then kind of didn't. The forest, that some of the stuff, I don't know if it was in the achievements or if it was something that Jimmy Zielinski said, there was stuff that was relating to where the denizens were from or something like that. I felt like might end up being a thing. Again, kind of similar in the same sort of vein to Jackass Flats, but didn't really ever go anywhere, so rest in peace. I guess that speculation didn't pick up enough steam for Treyarch to actually kind of deliver on more of it, but hey, what can you do? Can't win them all.
All that stuff is great, but it's a lot, like, there's loads of speculation, very little actual solid knowledge.
Okay.
Now, what I'm bringing you is some solid knowledge. And that's what's really, really great about this, is that you're actually going to be able to specifically say, I know pretty much for a fact.
Yo, that cough in the middle of the like clearing my throat, I would be mid-commentary, I know. I would never do that now, never. Unless it was like for dramatic effect or if I'm doing it very consciously on purpose. I would never be doing a video and go, you're gonna be able to consciously say, I know. Also, shout out to Starburst and Javano, homies from back in the day who I still play games with all the time now. Both absolute legends in the community. Great stuff. Good to see them in there.
That this map is...
Oh, dude! The pause! Hold up. We're scrubbing that back. We're scrubbing that one back.
No, pretty much for a fact that this map...
Bro, that's so bad! You'll be able to say, I know, pretty much for a fact. I can't breathe in my own video.
Map is set past a certain date at least, and likely before another date. So I will get to those dates in just a moment, but first of all, I will just give you an idea of why I'm making this video in the first place.
Bro, I thought I was about to go into a sponsored thing just then. I thought I was going to be like, you're going to be able to say it's past date 1, but before date 2. But before we get into that, have you heard of audible.com? Like, I fully thought that might have been the direction I was going. But at this point, I'd only had my YouTube partnership for like maybe 2-ish years, and I certainly wasn't doing a lot of brand deal type stuff and things like that. Like, it was very rare because I was only getting like a couple thousand views a video. Yeah, I mean, that would have been a turn that I would have sort of given myself some props for at the time, but it's not the way we went with this one. Let's see where it keeps going.
So, obviously, I've been...
Snorkel, dude! Big shout out, that 4th teammate.
A zombies theorist, I guess you could say, for numerous years. Back since the days of World at War, I've been sort of...
Bro, just the... In the commentary, you hear me go, like, you hear me inhale in a way that is just like, people don't want to hear that, man. There's so much about this video that I look back on and just go, wow, this really makes it very obvious how much I have grown as a content creator, because I thought my videos back then were sick. I thought I was the best, dude. And I used to do this thing where I would be talking and I would try and kind of make things sound more interesting, even if they were boring, just by kind of saying it in an interesting way. I realized looking back, I was being like a dumb, quirky 15-year-old or whatever I was at the time. It's just so cringy to look back on and hear me sort of talking like that when I could actually be just talking like I talk now and actually telling people things and have that be the interesting part of the video, not the way that I'm saying stuff. It was weird, man.
Just trying to understand what the hell's going on in Treyarch's twisted and satanic storyline that they've created.
There it is! There's a perfect example! In Treyarch's twisted and satanic storyline. Bro, why? Why was I like this? Also, if you can see that I look pretty warm right now, this is totally aside from the video. There's a heat wave in the UK right now and we don't have AC, and I've had to shut all my doors and stuff so that it's not too noisy for me to record. So if I look a little sweaty, that's why I'm suffering through it for the content, guys.
And I was on CODS, the forum that I'm part of, CallOfDutyZombies.com.
Shout out CODS, back in the day. Basically, before Reddit was really a thing, before Reddit was where people theorized and posted their ideas and posted new finds, it was all on CODS. Like, that's where I got my sort of start theorizing in zombies, for sure. It was a great website back in the day. I personally don't use it now, but I know there are still some people on there fighting away, trying to push back against Reddit being where everything happens and doing their own thing, and it's cool to see.
And there was a thread talking about the denizens and how they may have started off as like an experiment rather than being a natural, like, not abnormality, but like naturally caused by the radiation. Not that that's particularly natural, but it's not specifically humans like putting them together, so to speak. But the thread was...
So wait, is the thread talking about denizens being an experiment that humans have caused directly? Or is it talking about an experiment that is basically some other nuclear thing that has a byproduct, which is, I guess, radiation being in the atmosphere or what have you, and that causing the denizens? I didn't really make that clear. I don't think it's going to matter to the theory that I'm making, but I could have definitely explained that a lot better in the video.
Sort of suggesting that, and there was some great discussion going on between just some of the members.
Between just some of the members? It's like, I could have just read their names, Milo. Like, what are you doing?
And it was sort of coming to a head on the fact that people were talking about the Pack-a-Punch room. And for those of you that don't know, the Pack-a-Punch room on Green Run, on Transit, or rather when you play Transit...
Bro, why am I making these distinctions? On Green Run, or on Transit? I mean, when you play Transit... Bro... Just say the words. Like, come on. It's a bit much. I mean, I was pretty extra back in the day. Like, on a level that I am just not anymore, I don't think. Or at least I hope I'm not. Yeah, it was wild how I would just try and be super, like, hyper articulate about everything when it just takes away from the point I'm making because it makes me sound like an idiot. But oh well. I was young, what can I say?
Pack-a-Punch room is located inside the bank. You have to go through 2 secretly opened doors.
Why? Why am I saying it like that? To be honest, okay, all of this silliness that I had in my videos back then, all of the weirdness and just the weirdness of me as a human and the way that I was making my content and the way I was talking and everything has built up into the human that I am today, obviously. And what it's meant is that now I'm able to just jump into a story video and talk for 20 minutes and have the whole thing actually be pretty good. Like, it generally makes sense. It isn't a huge amount of waffle necessarily. I'll go off on tangents. I'll kind of branch off and spider out into weird different directions, but it's actually watchable. And I think that's why my channel really started picking up steam during Black Ops 3 is that I kind of realized what I needed to do in order to make good content. This is something I've said quite a lot, but it's a little ambiguous to sort of hear. Like, what do you mean just to make good content? How do you just decide to make good content? But there was genuinely a point where pre-Black Ops 3, I was like, I just didn't get it. I just didn't get it. And then something clicked in my head, both in terms of me just as a person and as a content creator, where I was like, oh, that stuff before was kind of awful. And this new sort of style of carrying myself and talking and explaining things is a lot better. But it was only because I'd spent 5 years or whatever being awful at what I was doing that I actually got good at it and then got to the point that I'm at today. So yeah, as much as it's easy to cringe at that old stuff, it got me to where I am today. So, I mean, thank you, past Milo. You did me a solid. You really did.
So to speak. And you then go through a 3rd door and you enter this completely different room. The room is very, very different to the actual bank itself. The bank's all ruined and tattered and stuff. But inside this area,
the pan.
It's much more sort of, it's got an eerily sterile feel to it.
Dude, I actually remember, oh no, I know what's coming. I know what's coming, guys. I can see it in the top left. I know exactly what this is. So what I was gonna say, I actually don't know if I can upload this. What was I doing? Okay, I've got to keep telling myself I had to suffer through this painful period in my life to get to where I am today. I had to suffer through this to get to where I am today. It was very embarrassing, but I'm a better human for it now.
And it's not clean. It's not like very.
So I actually remember doing this entire edit. I remember panning the different parts of the frame into different places and trying to make it actually line up and not knowing how to get rulers in, I think, Vegas, which I was using at the time. So I couldn't tell where the middle of the frame was and I couldn't get things exactly lined up. And actually, that's why the waffle is there. So the reason the waffle is here, we'll talk about the face in a second. I'm covering the boundary between the 4 quarters of the frame. It was like a makeshift solution where it was my logo. It wasn't covering anything particularly important. And I wanted it to cover the boundary so that you couldn't see that they weren't quite aligned right, because no matter what I did, I couldn't align it properly. And the keyframing in Vegas was horrendous at the time. I remember being really bad at it. I don't know why I thought that would be a good idea to put there. I think that what it probably was is that I was thinking, at this point, while I was editing, the watermark wouldn't have been on the video, by the way. So I was thinking, I need 3 quarters of screen to fill up. I can have general gameplay in 1 quarter. I can have specific images in another. And then I just kind of run out of things in the top left. I've also got some like high roundy kind of zombie killing gameplay in the bottom left. So what am I going to do? And I guess I thought it would be funny to pull a silly face, which is the face, by the way, that I pull every time I'm at an event, like meeting viewers. Very often, if they ask for a picture, I'll say, let's get 2 pictures. Let's get a normal picture, just for memories, and then let's get a silly picture, and I'll pull this exact expression. I don't know what was going on with the towel. No, that's a scarf. Yo, OG, Dr. Monty right here. I was the first Monty, the first one in the universe, dude. This is the summoning key as well. Like, I mixed the dimensions with life and all that. Jesus, I haven't stopped being weird, have I? Be completely transparent with you guys. Was not in the best of places when I was making these videos back in the day. Like, my living situation and just everything, family stuff, and there was a lot going on in my personal life, and I think that I kind of used making content in a weird way as like a kind of coping mechanism for some of the stuff that I was dealing with. It was just an outlet for me, and it meant that you had this pretty, on the whole, sort of happy on the outside, not so kind of content on the inside kid trying to deal with the world and doing this as a means to an end to do that. Again, I could have chosen less embarrassing ways to do it, but I needed to do something. And this is what got me through, I guess. I mean, you can see in the background as well, I've got my Black Ops 2 posters. I've got an ESA poster as well. I think that's the European Space Agency, something like that. And there were one or two other posters I think I had as well of like CERN and stuff like that. Like, oh man, it's just weird. It's weird thinking back to that dark, dark time in my life. Let's keep the theory going though.
The interesting thing about this as well is that it's completely similar, very much so, to the power room. If you go in the power room, I'm sure many of you.
So I'm talking about the design.
Many of you have Pack-a-Punched as well, but yeah, it's got that really sort of white glowing.
Bro, seeing the Xbox 360 thing pop up, that's a memory in itself. Raw Anomaly, I don't know who that was. I don't remember that person.
Feel to it. Now, so we go into the Pack-a-Punch room, and the gameplay on your screen now will be of that room. It's like a couple of, well, it's sort of two corridors connected together.
See, this is the thing that I didn't get back in the day, is like, I don't need to tell people what the room is. Like, I don't need to be in the Pack-a-Punch room a month after launch and say, the Pack-a-Punch room is made up of two corridors. One corridor is perpendicular to the other corridor. At the end of the corridor, you can find the Pack-a-Punch machine. Like, kind of useless information. People probably knew, but again, at the time, the standards for content creation were much lower. This wasn't something that people watched and necessarily went, oh, this guy's sort of just talking about nothing for 10 minutes. But instead they were like, okay, this is what I'm used to in zombies, so I'm gonna watch and like it. And like, I built up an audience from making this sort of content back then.
And there are some interesting things in there. For a start, we've got...
Bro, for a start, quick little get the saliva out of my mouth. Awful. Absolutely awful.
These cages. Now, I won't talk too much about the cages now because I'll probably save that for another video. Whether I'll end up actually doing that video or not, I don't know, but I...
What? Okay, I'll save that for another video, but I might just not make it. You know, I might just give up on that one, actually.
Plan to, so that should be good. But what I do want to talk about are the boxes, not the cages, the boxes. So we're going to go over to one of the boxes, and you're going to be able to see here that on the boxes there are these sort of marks. Now, if we
am I meant to be able to see the mark right now? Because, Milo, I hate to break it to you, I can't see the mark.
Think back to all the other...
You're looking at the ceiling, and is your watermark maybe covering it?
The zombies maps that we've had.
Oh, God.
So let's say, as a nice example, Nightmare on Toten, because that's actually, funnily enough, that's in Green Run. But if we think about Nightmare on Toten, one of the most classic things, the classic elements about that map is the help door that allows you to enter the help.
See, this is the thing as well. I tried to do all of these in one take, and that has meant that now I'm much better at speaking, both publicly, for the camera, hosting, whatever it might be. I'm much better at it because of the fact that I tried to do literally everything in one take back then, and basically all of this is one take, which is why you can hear me stumble at certain points and sort of say one thing and then go, the thing I actually want to talk about is this. I used to waffle a lot in these videos. It's because of that kind of one take obsession that I had at the time.
The help door is something that is... It's classic. Everyone can sort of recognize that door and go, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, sort of thing.
Yes.
Now, that is obviously like a chalk symbol.
Yes.
And in the same way that we've had guns on the walls in chalk and stuff like that, this is sort of similar in the sense that it's this white marking on the boxes.
Wait, I think I've just realized what's happening here. I think the top right panel is panning over to it. So what I must have done is I must have overlaid the bottom left three. Those three must have been on top of the top right video, and that video must just be zooming to wherever I need it to be, but excessively slowly for no reason.
It's there are some which are like rather unintelligible. It just doesn't look like it's actually anything. It's so blurry and so scrawled that you can't read it.
Okay.
But there is other writing and other symboling, I guess you can say.
Bro, come on! You're such a melt. Ay, ay, ay.
Which is a lot more clear. Now, it's not written like the help door writing is. It's not anything like that.
Okay.
It's much more like it's been.
Oh wait, top left. Now it's. What's the top right then? If you're gonna just put it in the top left, I baffle myself, man. Also, that is unbelievably low resolution. Thank you, Xbox 360, for being the peak of gaming back in 2012.
And you'll see on your screen now what it is that I'm actually talking about. It looks, at first sight, like it might have some letters above these lines that we've got at towards the bottom of the symbol.
Okay.
It looks like there might be some letters, and upon a little bit of deliberation...
Oh, for goodness sake! Oh, it's awful! Upon a little... No, I can't even repeat those words.
We actually come to the conclusion that it says something like CCCP. Now,
okay.
Where have we heard that before?
Where have we heard that before?
I'm not going to go into the specifics now, but a Google search will very quickly inform you, and you can dig as much as you like. It's not something that is particularly secretive. It's just a name. So, the CCCP instantly makes me think. Hold on a moment. This is instantly.
Apparently, it doesn't make me think much at all because I'm like this.
Or rather, the Soviet Union. Okay? Now...
Dude. You know exactly what I've done here? I've read this thread. I've been on CODs. This is how theorizing worked back in the day, right? We would read a thread on CODs. We would find a tangential link to whatever point we were making, read the Wikipedia page for it, maybe only read the first paragraph of that page, and go, they're connected. And that's genuinely how we got from Shinonuma to Doriz to Kino to Ascension. Like, that's how the story worked back in the day, especially with things like Baikonur Cosmodrome. And just hearing me say, I'm not going to go into this, you can read up on it for yourself, but this makes me think that thing A is synonymous with thing B. Like, man, that's just pure evidence that I have not done any actual research here. I've only done, like, the surface level and gone, oh, that looks like it's connected to this other thing. That's cool.
If we've got the Soviet Union with their titling, I guess you could call it, on these boxes.
They're titling. Milo.
But these boxes are in the US, and current estimations of the timeline of the map set it to be during the Cold War.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So we do have a little bit of time coming in there then. We've got an actual window of sometime during the Cold War, which is not when the map actually takes place, but it's at least a window for us to say was wrong. So let's keep going and see if I narrow that down.
Then why are the USSR and the US mixing together? That makes no sense. Do the Russians have some... I keep saying Russians, I should say Soviets. Do the Soviets...
Get out of here, Milo.
Have some kind of... have they infiltrated the US in some way? Ooh. Or is there something else going on?
Dude, I predicted it back... Very topical joke about American politics in the year 2019. Have the Russians infiltrated the US in some way? My goodness. I was ahead of my time.
We'll discuss that more in a moment, but first I want to say...
We're going to come back to that.
We can go a little bit further with this symbol.
Okay.
I managed, I quite luckily really, I was trying to sort of dig deeper and investigate.
Oh, there it
That's
is.
What we do in this theorizing community. It's awesome. Especially on CallOfDutyZombies.com.
Oh god, it makes me cringe. It makes me cringe so much to be like, this is what we do in the theorizing community. It's awesome.
That's what we do in this theorizing community. It's awesome.
Oh god.
Especially on CallOfDutyZombies.com. Is we see something like this and we go, okay, that's got one meaning, and then if we dig and dig and dig, it's got another 17.
Oh.
And that's the great thing about the zombie storyline, is that it's got branches, and those branches have banks, and we're inside a bank when we're in the Pack-a-Punch machine, and those banks have branches. And
I'm making a pun, and it's awful.
It's all fine and dandy. But we're down there, and I was down there looking at this box, and I thought, hold on a moment. Google searched. About 10 minutes later...
Oh, yep, 10 minutes of research, lads.
Of Google searching, I came across this. Now...
Oh, it's so big. Oh, God, I've been, like, glued to my screen, literally trying to sort of see these tiny little symbols I've been showing in the corners, and then I hit him with a BMW logo across the entire thing.
Oh, again, many of you will not recognize this. Some of you might recognize it straight off. Maybe you've studied Cold War history, and this is something that you just happened to see while you were doing that. Well,
Okay. Oh, that fade, cheeky.
I am going to explain what this is.
Wait, I said I wasn't going to explain it, and am I talking about just this specific orientation of the symbol, like this version of it?
So we go back to the first image, or just think back to the first image, and we've got these two lines, and then we've got what appears to be CCCP, or
Wait, the first image being this smudge in the top left? Okay.
something along those lines at the top there, below, above the sort of the...
At the top there, Milo, you're allowed to do things in more than one take. I'm glad you didn't, because I am a much better speaker for it, but god damn it, it made the content worse.
We go to this, and it's actually, funnily enough, the USSR state quality mark.
Okay.
Okay? Now...
First off, did I really need to say there are two thinner lines above the text, and then below there are two thicker like, people have eyes, dude.
This doesn't just mean that, like, the USSR think that the US have got some spiffing products.
Oh, Christ. That's the worst one yet. I didn't think I don't really have any words left, to be honest. Apparently I used them all up, literally every one of them back in 2012.
The fact that it's a USSR...
Oh, and you can see the logo bounce in the top right. I like pan up and then I just bounce it and pan down again.
Our state quality mark means that this is, like, these boxes are gonna have been something that will...
Are gonna have been...
State quality mark means that this is, like, these boxes are gonna have been something that will have either been sold or being readied to be sold and got into the economy, and just generally, like, you're not going to need a quality assurance mark unless that item is moving from, like, one person to another, or from the hands of one group to the hands of another. So these boxes, to sort of make a longer story than I've just made it even shorter.
What?
Something like that, anyway.
I just died on round 1 in the gameplay. Wait, is that the end of the video? No.
Click the link on screen for part 2.
You're kidding me. You're actually kidding me. I whispered. I genuinely... I had no idea that was going to happen.
Click the link on screen for part 2.
What?
To sort of make a longer story than I've just made it even shorter. Something like that, anyway.
What am I saying? To make a longer story than I've made it shorter, click the link on screen for part 2. Oh, I'm deceased. I'm that's it. I'm melting. I'm letting the heat wave take me, lads. The weird thing is that I didn't see a part 2 on my channel. So I don't know if I actually ever made a follow-up to this video. That could be the whole thing. And granted, I was proud of this discovery back in the day, the CCCP thing. Like, that is genuinely something to note in transit. You shouldn't just ignore that bit of information. But to make, what, this was like an 8-minute video? Basically to say, in the Pack-a-Punch room on transit, there's a logo for the CCCP. I did some Googling and found that the logo used is the State Quality Assurance Mark. This suggests that Russia are doing whatever with the United States, whatever my theory was going to be. And that is 15, 20 seconds of audio, not 8.5 minutes. I don't know, man. I will happily do another one of these sorts of videos, reacting to some more old videos if you guys want. Let me know in the comments down below. Show some love to the video, all of that stuff as you would normally do. This has been quite a painful experience for me, but it's also been kind of nice to see that I'm not quite as awful a YouTuber as I used to be nowadays. So thanks for watching, guys. I've been MrRoflWaffles. God damn, that was bad. That was really bad. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.